All right, what is going on? We are going to in this video. I'm gonna go through my trading week because it was a really good. I'm not going through the trading week because it was a good trading week. I actually want to start doing these frequently, and honestly, I want a lot of them to be losers because I think that's where most people need to learn from. I think that's where most people are at. But this just happened to be a good. How many days is this? I can't count. Holy shit. A good 8 days in the market. So I'm going to go through the actual trades I took from fundamentals. I'm going to go through my thought process, and then I'm going to share what that looked like and like what trades I took on the charts. But this was the account. These are accounts. Technically, that's one account, but this was copy traded through TradeSyncer through a bunch of other accounts. As you can see, there were losses in this, but they ended up being winning days. So yeah, let's jump into it. All right, so this is the Monday morning, 10:30 or 10 o'clock. And you'll see it was a accumulation, distribution, manipulation model trade. But I'm gonna go through my thought process on like what I saw in pre-market, why I marked at this gap right here, why I have these lines drawn, why this was a significant draw on liquidity, even though it was already taken out through this continuation, all that shit. So let's start here. So this draw is a draw that is already filled. It's already technically like balanced out in the market, but as we can see, it kind of slices through this gap and it makes this area right here super relevant because this is a gap that we are respecting and it's not inversed. So what I mean by that is if you go down to like the 5 minute, let me take this off. If you go down to the 5 minute, oh shit, why did I have that? And you mark out this is your gap and it didn't get inverse, meaning it didn't do something like this. It didn't come down in this chop range, blah, 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 and do something like this. No, we kept bouncing off of it and we respected this gap once we filled it. So we filled this gap, respected it. So my next like micro drawn liquidity would be this. Oh shit. Would be this. So what I wanted to look for, since it was going into a Monday, I needed to understand where we are at on the higher time frames, and that is below this Monday volume gap. And I just made a video about this exact trade, short form for my ads in Instagram, where I talked about how Monday volume gaps or just like gap down, they normally get filled. Whether they get filled on like a Monday is 50-50, but it gives you a really good area of interest to be reactive off of. I really like when we have like Monday volume gaps that aren't too far apart and they aren't like too gapped down or too gapped up for the, what's it called? The week. So here I understood also that we've been in an extreme, like the market has just been manipulating. Like it's just trying to get as much liquidity, and normally that's how markets move, but like for the past like 2 weeks, that's been the narrative. It's just been in a range, takeout, buy side, takeout, sell side, like 40 times, and the traders with the most patience normally survive those kinds of markets. So I've been really patient going into these markets, but let's go through what I saw here. So this right here, this is the London high, this is the Asian high. Anything above this, I wanted to look for where are we at here? This is the next relevant candle. So anything above this London, I just pretty much did nothing. Anything above this London high, I wasn't really looking for continuation. I thought that there's no way, just from my past experience with trading Monday volume gaps, I was like, there's no way that we're just going to get above this and we're just going to see continuation into this gap. Like I just didn't, not only is that like a bad mindset to go into, to have just like a straight like bullish bias or even a bearish bias. I wanted to be reactive and I wanted to be like, okay, if I see it become really strong off of here, and if I saw it become really strong between here, I wasn't just going to take a a 930 continuation trade, I would have let it like rip up into here, try to consolidate in this zone, and then fill a gap on a retracement to the downside off of like equilibrium or something like that. But what I was really looking for was a double manipulation on a Monday, because that's been the story. If you go back to the last Monday, that's what we did. So what that means is we take out London high and Asian high. We go down into here and we capitulate down. Now you could have taken a trade off of just solely that, but that's not really how I wanted to play this market. I wanted it to come down here and take out this draw, or yeah, that draw on liquidity. So that would have been my PO3 or Power 3 or ADM, whatever you want to call it. That would have been my accumulation. This would have been the manipulation part. So once I saw that happen right here, okay, so this is my thought process. This is like my trading strategy. So, or like my 1030 trading strategy. So I saw the manipulation and then I saw this candle, right? I didn't just enter blindly off of this because there was too much filled balance. There's too much balancing. I just didn't like the formation here. I was like, okay, if we break structure now above this or this, and if you zoom out to like a 5 minute, you'll see what I mean. These are our next two relevant zones for us to break through. So I was like, okay, if we close above this on the 5 minute, I've used my patience. I'm going to enter on a gap fill off of this. So I let it accumulate a little bit. I let it go down right here. And then this is where I entered, right? As you can see, I didn't just wait for it to close above and then push back down, because there wasn't really that much to balance out on the 5 minute. I thought that this like order block looking thing and this candle, just the way that we kept sweeping, and like I said, the theme of the market has been just like manipulation, manipulation, manipulation. I thought after we got this candle, and then I thought this was a lot more of a relevant gap to fill, because we have these equal lows. We might have had an SMT on ES, I'm not really sure. But I could just tell. That we were gonna rip through this this zone, and then now we have this as our take profit one. But if I'm not mistaken, I held up into here. I kept a couple runners with like a trailing stop loss up into here. I actually don't know. Let's see. So I had this take profit one, and then we created these new highs, and I just had a couple runners going through here. But yeah, that's how you become really patient, and you don't just like wait for sweeps and prematurely enter. I mean, it would have worked here, but as you can see, we have like the double accumulation, and you just want to keep waiting for manipulation. All right, going into Tuesday here, my mindset was the same thing, where I was like, okay, we're just going to manipulate until the market tells me that we're not going to do that, and just be in that sort of like rangy market. I'm not going to do anything else, because if it doesn't tell me to, you just want to listen to the market and play with it. So here, this day, I was going to say today, this day I actually took a trade, but then I got out of it. It was pretty much like a break even day. I was up 262 on like my leader account. So my thought process, I'll just kind of go over this quick, was like, okay, we have this high, and then we have this, and then we have this. So we're kind of making like exhausting bullish structure, because we keep getting like higher highs, but they're not like too higher high, and then this is like low resistance liquidity that I thought we were going to come take out. So once we have that manipulation above, or the sweep, or whatever you want to call it, oh shit, hold on. All right, I had to go back. I forgot I wasn't in replay mode, but what I was saying is, once you get that sweep and then you fill the gap, and we respected the gap, we didn't inverse it here. I understood that, okay, this is the market structure shift. We're in bearish order flow. Now let's see what it does here. I'll show you where I took the trade. Stop. Okay. It was around here. So I understood, like, okay, now we have this gap formed that we need to come down and fill, and my bias is bearish because we are under this. This is actually a good trade. I don't know why I got out of it. I can't remember my thought process. I think it was because I got in around here, right? Let me see the exact time actually. Okay, so 2:40. So yeah, I got in around this candle, and then it made that. Yeah, I remember this. It made this higher low right here. So I'm still in the trade here, and I'm like, okay, we're kind of. I should have just trusted my gut, but I was like, had a good day yesterday. I don't really like. I'm not here to like force anything. I saw this. Manipulate or not just like a sweep. I saw this sweep below. We were forming like, even though we're on the hourly, we were bearish and my time frames added up. I don't know. I can't remember my exact thought process, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna get out of this, and I actually ended up getting out of it in a little bit of profit down here, like 240 bucks times 5. It's like $1,000 profit, but I would just pretty much call that break even. So like I didn't really follow my trade plan. Even though it was a good trade, sometimes you just, if you have that feeling in your gut, sometimes you just get out and it's better to just get off for the day. So that's what I did Tuesday. So Wednesday was actually a London session, or just like going into London session sort of trade. This is kind of like, if you watch my like swing trading strategy videos, sometimes I will take these trades if I think they're relevant. I'll like look at the market after. I normally won't look at the market after. I normally don't trade in the afternoon, and then from like 6 to like 11 or like 10, I won't look at the market. So I will load up my computer and I'll kind of hop on at like 10 or like 11, and I'll see where we are at for the day. This is what time is that would have been. This is 10. So this is 10 o'clock on like technically like Tuesday night, but it's the Wednesday trading day. So after this is the one I just went over. I was like, okay, like kind of where are we at here? This is regaining structure to the upside on like a smaller macro level. Obviously on the hourly, we are still bearish in the 4 hour, but we're kind of just in this like trend line-ish like range, kind of like a rising wedge with like these exhausting higher highs. So I'm like, okay, I'm still bearish, but I'm still going to be reactive to the market. But I really thought that this right here was the 15-minute gap that was not balanced out with the market yet. So meaning like this wick didn't come up into here enough to retrace. And a lot of times when you see those gaps and we respect them and we don't inverse them, we don't go like this. I'm going to do something like that. That means that they can serve as a good entry as long as they respect that gap and as long as we push up into it. So this one was really simple. I used this as my sweep area. So I was like, okay, it's kind of lining up. This is probably, I probably drew some 618s to the downside here as well. Yeah. So this lined up with the golden pocket range. So I was like, okay, if we sweep this and then we push up into this gap and we fall below equilibrium, I thought that was going to be a good trade. So let's go down to like the 5 minute here and let's see what happens. So yeah, all right. We come up and we sweep this just barely, but we're still like pushed into this gap and it's a sweep. So I was like, okay, anything below this equilibrium, anything with an entry below that equilibrium, I will potentially take. All right, hold on. I saw this as, let me go up here a little bit. So this as my area of the market shifting. Once I saw that, this was my retest to get in. So it would look something like this. Stops a little bit higher, and then down to this draw, right? I don't know if it fully went down to that draw or not. Oh, it did. Okay. So yeah, my trade would have been something like this. You could have caught a 3-to-1, which actually makes sense because I made $1,500 on the leader account. So I was risking 500 up here, and then down here was the 1,500. So that was 3-to-1. Thursday's price action, we kind of are following the same thing. I mean, the markets are just gonna be in the same trend. They're gonna make the same patterns until they tell you, fuck off, no, I'm not. So it was the same thing as here, or not like up, I guess so. But we made these lower lows and then we had a market structure shift. I didn't take this, I didn't take longs because we were just in a bearish market and I was looking for just a retracement, something, if you take this swing high, go down here, something up into where we pushed into, right? So I'm bearish, but as long as we respect this 15-minute gap, hold on, I need to turn, yeah, there we go. As long as we respect this 15-minute gap right here, like this area, that's not really been, when we have like, when you have extreme capitulation, then you have a retracement that adds up right there. My mindset going into that is, okay, we're gonna push into that, and then we have a retracement area on top of that, so we have two area of interest lined up. Even though this was like a market structure shift right here, and then we got below it, I wasn't just blindly entering up here, right? But once I saw that we formed this high right here, this one, not the second one, this one right here. Once I saw that we formed that high into the gap and we weren't really inversing it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep a closer eye on this. And then we, there's something else to mind here is that this is at 6 o'clock at like right after market opened. So this is like an Asian session trade. I didn't enter there. I don't think, wait, let me see this. Cause I got really fucked. Okay, so that was where I got really fucked. So I did enter below this. I entered somewhere in here. Sometimes I'll take these Asian session trades. Sometimes I can just like tell, and this is like one of those weeks where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna probably take a couple Asian session, couple London session trades, just because they're gonna offer some premium setups, and all you have to do is have a little bit more patience. So yeah, that's where we push up in the gap, and once we had that double manipulation off of this, I entered somewhere around here, right? Now this was probably the most bullshit thing that has happened to me in trading in a while. Like, I don't know, I was like pretty mad. I entered like somewhere around here. It's the wrong one. I entered somewhere around here, and I had my stop like that, right? I was targeting probably like this draw or this draw, somewhere around there, right? We have all this like not like super high resistance liquidity. I was like, okay, I think we're gonna go down here, right? And kind of my fault for trading at Asian session. This is kind of what you get. You just gotta accept the risk that you're taking and then play it or accept the results, I guess. But I was like, all right, I have somewhere to base my risk. I'm just gonna take shorts here. Look at this shit. I guess my stop loss was here. I literally got stopped out by like one tick. Like, it was fucking insane. But like I said, we're in a market where we're just manipulating. The better trade would have been here, but this is what I'm saying. Like, that's still an Asian session trade, and then we have volume follow through. So a little bit unlucky, but I ended up, I ended up just going to bed. I was like, fuck it. Maybe I'll trade in the morning. If I see a setup, I will allow myself to trade in the morning. If I see a setup, and I did take this, 1040. So this right here was the trade I took. So we have this draw right here. That was relevant, but we were also in a bearish market, and we closed below this area right here. So I'm being extremely reactive to what I'm about to show you. If I was trading live, you would see that I'm like not really rushing into anything. It's like still, what is this, like an hour, almost an hour and a half into market open that morning. So I was really sitting on my hands. The theme of this market has been lower low, shift of structure, which would have been right here. I'm actually recapping this in real time. I don't even remember this trade. So I'm literally just gonna like see, like I didn't even look at this trade. What I'm guessing is I saw a gap like this that was still filled, so I guess it would have been a little bit higher. And I was like, okay, we have our market structure shift. Now, what do we do above this order block or towards this gap, right? Let's see. I don't even know. I'm asking. Okay, so real time here, I'm probably like, okay, lower high formed off of that lower low. This is kind of and then we got this sweep that we probably want to fill if we're gonna shift structure here. So I'm like, all right, let me be a little bit more patient. We have another sweep down here. or down here. So we have 3 lower lows, and then this was our market structure shift fully above this. So here, I'm like, okay, we are respecting, we're looking for a continuation trade off of shifting structure on like a macro time frame. So we're looking for a shift or we got our shift to structure. So we're looking for something to fill this imbalance, and then we are getting this, what's it called? Wick and this wick as our stop losses. So this was a counter trend trade to like with the trade that we've been in, but it lines up with this draw, and this is also I'm literally going through this trade. Like I'm literally like trading pretty much live right here. This is also the beginning of our Monday volume. So we push back into the Monday volume, which you can use as an area of interest. We have our high time frame manipulation. We have our shift to structure after triple manipulation. All right, from that last cup, I don't remember where I left it off here, but I actually entered here. I think I said in that last one I went through, and like I said, I literally am I'm like trading this live. So we have these 3 lower exhaustions, market structure shift, like I just explained. I entered here and I went in a little bit of drawdown, but then I ended up taking profit above this right here, like full take profit. I didn't really see, since we were in a bearish market, I didn't want to push my luck, and that's really how you trade these counter trend trades, is you don't, like you look for continuation, but if it's like the market's exhausted and we're not really getting effort versus result to the upside, a lot of times I'll just set a limit order at the relevant high and then get out of it. So, all right, now final trade of the week. I wasn't really planning on trading this Friday, but sometimes when the market, like I was watching the market, but sometimes when it gives you such a good opportunity, you have to take the trade. But as you can, if you go back in the video and you saw the calendar, this should have been like a $2,000 trade, which to cross 5 counts would have been 10 grand. But I de-risked a little bit just because on Fridays, sometimes if you're on your high horse about a good week, I will just de-risk and keep my psychology for momentum going into the next week, because sometimes if you just take a small loss on a Friday, you don't get burned that hard, keeps your psychology in check, and that's a little trick that I've learned. But the reason I like this trade a lot was because, like I said, lower low, lower low, lower low, we market structure shift on a macro time frame this time, right? So I'm looking at this on the hourly. I'm like, okay, this is our market structure shift. I thought that this was a bull trap, right? And I thought that because I saw this unfilled area right here that got wicked into. And also, along with that, we had this 1 hour orb for a sweep into gap. So we have our accumulation, and then we have manipulation here, and then this would have been a good trade, right? But I was like, okay, looking at the bigger time frame, we are in bearish order flow. So what I wanted to look for, and off of my bias, like I said, I go into it with like my bias where I am bearish, but I don't just take a trade based off of solely that. So like I'm not just looking for it to push into here. I'm waiting for it to push into here and then break through, right? I'm not looking for it to just, like I said, just push into here and then not look for an inverse of that gap. So we respected the gap, and right here we have our wick, and then we got these tweezer tops below it, and we formed, we used this as a gap, and we kind of pushed into it. Oh shit, hold on. We used this as a gap and we pushed into it. We created this low. I remember watching this because this was 2 days ago. We closed, or we were having a little trouble closing below, but we were ultimately maintaining it. Once I saw that this right here, we come up and we filled this, I was like, oh, we're going down. So all I do after that is wait for these like low diminishing spread candles. And then this is our bearish engulfing, where I'm like, okay, we have a lot of confirmation now. Here, I remember I actually entered on this candle exactly. Like I said, I can remember these trades because it's only 2 days ago compared to the other ones. And then I remember I had a limit order set right here, and I should have waited for that limit order to be filled, but I got a little bit of FOMO. I'm like, all right, I know this is going to go down. It doesn't really matter where I enter, but I had my stops. It was like this. Oh, shit. It was like this. Had my stops a little bit above that. And then we had this draw, and then we had all this low resistance liquidity, which is why it made it such a good trade. It made it so much easier to identify take profits, and it was kind of just like, it felt good because I looked out and I continued following the trend that I knew we were in, and I didn't fall for the macro. I didn't fall for this macro market structure shift and like continuation to the upside, and I just looked for us to respect the gap that wasn't really filled at all. As you can see, like none of these wicks, even like this is low resistance liquidity or low resistance path. This wasn't, if you go on like an hourly, you can see a little bit better. This was never really tapped into. So this was my area that I was looking at, and I just kept following the market down, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait for manipulation of some sort and then enter off of my fair value gap. So that was my trade recap for the week of, what is it, March 9th, 2026. Hopefully next week it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I do want to get these out. I want to start making these like recap videos. I even want to go live on YouTube for like the relevant sessions, meaning like New York Open, frequently. So look out for those. The thing I'm going to show is these, the payouts that I actually got for, for that week, or like last week. I got this on Friday. Working towards live on those accounts, I'll probably document that along with the trade recaps that I take for those Tradify accounts going forward. So might turn this into a mini series.